What's going on? Welcome back to Moose Gaming here, and today I just woke up to my video with a bunch of different comments. I mean, bunch of different comments about how you guys speculate about Gamchan and his potential usages. And I really don't think there is really much to discuss about him. But because it is so heated topic in the community, I feel like right now at this point, and also at the same time, I personally think the answer was simple. The moment that they released him as a Korean commander, not a Chinese commander. No, I'm just kidding. But the most of the latest OP releases of commanders have been Chinese. That is fact. So yeah, but let's go ahead and take a look at this kit once more after I have had like 6 hours of sleep. And also at the same time, let's compare him to kind of like other commanders that are in the Rise of Kingdoms right now. And kind of see if we can actually make a good comparison to other commanders that we have here. But yes, Gamchan, Cavalry Versatility, Combo Attack Commander. His active skill, let's just go ahead and take a look at it from the expertise, because that's basically what we're going to be looking at if we want to use him at a competitive level. Great Victory at Gwiju. Launches 2 combo attacks against a target troop with damage factor of 1500. So, single target, 3000 damage factor. The damage factor is really, really good. And for the next 5 seconds, this commander's troop gains the Star Blast effect, which will give you 10% defense, 10% health, which is nice. So 20% health and defense mix. And increases the healing from the Starlight skill by 150%. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at his second skill. 20% march speed, 10% damage reduction, and 30% defense bonus. Now, the reason why a lot of people are kind of saying that Gamchan could be very, very meta or competitive is because of this skill too. Because it has 10% less damage taken. And combined with the fact that, let's just go ahead and jump into the game. Combined with the fact that Steel Skin, which is one of the armaments special inscription that we have in the game, that could potentially give you up to, 2%, 9.5% additional damage reduction on top of, let's say, Achilles having another damage reduction. You know, it just makes them super, super tanky is what people are saying. And yeah, that's something that we can consider. We'll talk about it in a later part of the video. But yeah, 10% damage reduction stacked with another 10%, 9.5% from Steel Skin on top of another 5% from Achilles on top of Achilles' conditional skill damage, combo damage, and counterattack damage reduction of 15%. It kind of makes sense that he could be kind of a tanky Achilles primary. Okay, I think that's what a lot of people are thinking where they can use him with. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of his kit. So Starlight. If this commander is in a field troop, their troop deals 15% more normal damage. Okay, 15%. Here is where I'm kind of split, right? If this commander's in a field troop, it deals 15% more normal damage, right? 15% is kind of where I think my opinion on him not being Nevsky is like starting to happen, right? Like I did not think of this commander as a Nevsky just because of this damage amplification alone, right? 15% normal damage, right? So if you look at Nevsky though, look at Nevsky, he has what? There you go. He has 10% damage bonus if the current target is surrounded. And also at the same time, he has 25% skill damage bonus and 35% extra skill damage bonus to the secondary after using his skill. So if you use an active skill, your secondary commander to Nevsky or whatever, if you use Nevsky as secondary, that's also fine, gets 60% total skill damage buff on top of 10% damage buff for surrounded enemy, right? But if you look at Gamchan, it's only 15% normal damage buff. So that's I think the reason why Nevsky is so good is not because he's just tanky. He has a lot of tanky stuff, tanky stats, damage reduction, and all that good stuff. But I think main reason why he was so overpowered was because of this skill right here, giving you 25 to 60% skill damage bonus, on top of 10% extra skill damage bonus. He dealt so much damage, and then he kind of compensated his damage reduction from having a lot of defensive stats, on top of having defense reduction, which Gamchan also does have. But then again, I think that's what made Nevsky the meta that he was back then. But I think 15% normal damage buff is good, but I'm not sure if that's really good enough to put him on the same level of Nevsky back when Nevsky was first released. I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about back when Nevsky was first released. People are saying that, hey, like, this guy is a new Nevsky. I don't think so, because of that damage factor being just too low, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's just how I feel. And the second part of the skill says, whenever their troop deals combo damage, it recovers a large portion of the slightly wounded units, 10% of the combo damage attack dealt. That goes up to 25% if you have used your active skill with your first commander, which is going to be Gamchan, which is good. And yeah. And then the fourth skill, whenever this commander's troop deals combo attack damage to a field troop, it has 30% chance to reduce the target's defense by 40% for 5 seconds. Defense reduction is nice. It has 5-second cooldowns, but it can trigger only 3 times in a single second. Now, again, my speculation on Gamchan, I think the reason why I was kind of like not sure if you should invest in him was this, because it can trigger only up to 3 times. Now, only is a strong word for having 40% defense reduction, but if you think about it, if you want to pair Gamchan up with some other combo damage commander, it's only Achilles, right? You cannot use Arthur as a secondary to Gamchan just because of the fact that, hey, like, Arthur needs to be a primary commander, right? And you probably don't want to give up the 10-hit AoE, circular AoE's combo damage from Achilles, right? So personally, I think if this was like, this could trigger up to like 5 times or 10 times. If this line was not there, I think this would have been potentially a very good skill, but it has a limit to 3 times. I'm not sure if this commander skill is a really, really good skill. And then we talked about expertise / active skill. So that's basically his kit, right? 3000 damage factor damage dealer that has 10% damage reduction, has 15% normal damage bonus, and does healing. Now, personally, out of all the comments that I've looked at, I think Alexander Nevsky is not it. I don't think he's the next Alexander Nevsky. He does have defense reduction, sure. He does have a little bit of buff. This does not really matter. He has a little bit of defense bonus and damage bonus when you're surrounding an enemy, and damage taken less bonus. But this skill that really makes what Alexander Nevsky, who he is missing. The huge damage amplification. Not 15%, but 60% damage amplification that Nevsky provided with the baseline of 25%. This is the one that I think Gamchan's missing, and that's why I'm not sure if he is the new Nevsky in 2025 Nevsky, I mean. And I talked about it in my last video too. But there is a commander that is actually comparable to him from one of the comments down below, and that is Shajar, in my opinion. So Shajar, let's take a look at his kit. Look at her kit. So Shajar is a commander that does 2800 damage factor, so single target 2800 damage factor with march speed reduction. Has 35% health, 20% march speed, and has normal damage reduction, so similar to Gamchan, has damage reduction here. And also at the same time, whenever you use an active skill, you heal yourself, kind of similar to what Gamchan does with his kit, right? And then the force skill gives you damage reduction while on the map. Also, again, kind of similar to what Gamchan's thing is. And then when you actually are out there, when you drop to 60%, you heal yourself for 5,000 damage vector. And then for the next 8 seconds, you take 40% less damage, right? Again, healing on the field. And when you heal, whenever your commander heals and heals a person, you basically get 10% defense and deals 20% more normal damage. Okay, so a little bit of buff. So I think Gamchan is very similar to Shajar in different scenarios, in my opinion. Just because I think, for one, they heal themselves. Like, the reason why people are using Qinshi Huang with Shajar on the field, especially on the outer fights, is because they heal themselves, and you can last Qinshi Huang a lot longer with Shajar on the field. Guess what? If you actually use Gamchan with Achilles, I think that's basically what the skill set is going to do to that commander pairing. They're going to take a lot of reduction damage, but also at the same time, you'll keep Achilles alive long enough on the field so that you can do a lot of damage and have a really, really good rapport. But is Shajar considered meta in today's field? Not really, right? At the end of the day, if you're fighting in a ball fight, I feel like you're gonna die regardless of your healing, unless you're able to actually control one by one and kind of like, focus on sustaining yourself at the end of the day, right? That's what Shajar, Qinshi Huang Shajar does in the field, right? So personally, I think Arthur and Achilles paired up together does provide a little bit more value, especially because one of the main source of power that Achilles has is that 10-hit combo attack that he does with his active skill, right? Also at the same time, he does recast it a lot with his expertise / third skill, but that paired up with the fact that Arthur has a combo damage that can almost proc infinitely, and this can proc multiple times. And the instant proc combo damage that all combo damage commanders, I think, needs at the end of the day. I think this commander's expertise, Arthur's expertise, paired up with Achilles' active skill, is just something that you really don't want to kind of separate from one another. Kind of like what I would think of when I think about Liu Qie Bai Chu, right? You don't want to separate Liu Qie and Bai Chu unless you absolutely have to, right? So I personally think that the Gamchan, and if you look at Arthur's kit, it's just really, really good, right? It has like rage reduction of the people. It has 30% combo damage bonus, which is better than 15% normal damage buff for combo damage dealing commanders, I feel like. And it just does have more kind of AoE possibility. Of course, Gamchan has 200 extra damage factor to his active skill than Arthur, but Arthur can hit up to 3 people. And guess what? When you do hit 3 people, it's going to be what, like 5,800 damage factor, right? Something along the line of that, right? It is just better, in my opinion, for you to be able to bring out 2 AoE Cav commanders versus 1 AoE and 1 single target commander, in my opinion. So yeah, so that's my opinion, personally. Sure, all the damage reduction stacked up together could be okay, but Achilles, I feel like, provides enough, right? 5% damage reduction, 15% extra to skill, combo, and counterattack damage, on top of steel skin, 10% extra. I think that's more than enough. You don't need to add another 10% unless it goes down to, like, I don't know, 30%, 40%, like, of damage taken, right? Like, if you stack all of them and then it is the matter of, okay, you're going from 60% damage taken to 40% damage taken, that is a lot of difference. But if it's going from like 70% damage taken to no 20 like yeah 70% damage taken to 60% damage taken. That is not a lot in my opinion. So I don't know. And all in all, do I think Gamchan is worth investing in? At the end of the day, personally speaking, not right now. I mean, I'm not saying this because I already invested in Achilles. I think that I got really, really lucky, right? Like, I invested in Achilles without knowing what the skill set of Gamchan looks like. And it turns out he's not an AoE commander. And I'm really happy with that. But aside from that, single target damage commanders, I think all the Rise of Kingdoms community and all the Rise of Kingdoms content creators have been saying this. But single target commander, there's not that much spot for them left on the field, in my opinion, anymore, right? And although Gamchan does have a lot of cool kind of mechanics that was added to the game, right? The fact that you heal yourself and all that stuff, and defense reduction, I think when he releases into the game, he's gonna be usable. But over the time, I think he's gonna become another Shajar. Period. He's gonna have some uses in certain scenarios, like I don't know, Canyon and outer fights, where you do need a little more sustainability. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's gonna be that good. And that's just my honest opinion after looking at his kit 6 hours ago and after reading all the comments. So my caution to you is that please don't try to think of him as Nevsky, because if you think about Nevsky, you get hyped up. Everyone will get hyped up because you're thinking about Nevsky and like how good he was and how good he was for such a long time. And I'm telling you right now, the reason why he was so good was because, for one, he has such a high damage amplification from his force skill. Gamchan damage buff honestly is nowhere near that, and Arthur has better damage amplification than him. So I don't think Nevsky. I don't think he's the next Nevsky. And two, when Nevsky did release into Rise of Kingdoms, the meta was not like everything about AoE, right? But right now, in Rise of Kingdoms, everyone's using AoE over AoE over AoE over AoE, right? What are the best marches that we're using right now in the field? Let's just go out to my marches, right? What are my best marches? Okay, Arthur Achilles, double AoE, right? Baichi Luce, double AoE. Qizhuang, YSG, double AoE. And then Ho Chu Bing and Joan of Arc Prime. My Joan of Arc Prime is actually outside. Ho Chu Bing and Joan of Arc Prime is the only march that I'm using right now that is not using double AoE. But guess what? I don't want to use Ho Chu Bing anymore. If there is another AoE commander that we can use for the skill damage Cavalry combo, then I'll do it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just want to give you a fair warning. I know that community is hype about the new Cavalry commanders. I could be wrong, but that's just how I feel about it personally. But let me know what you guys are thinking in the comment down below, guys. If you guys did enjoy today's video, please go ahead and drop me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. As always, I'll see you all in the next video. Alright, peace!